Alright, so I was at my grandmother's funeral in Chapel, Nebraska, and I'd been trying to turn in the Bollingers for the crimes they've been committing. There's a true crime channel, claims they're doing a documentary. I hope it's a documentary, an actual documentary, and not one of these true crime things where they lie about the whole situation. So, the people doing that episode, I sent them a lot of evidence showing I told the truth, showing that we were friends while I was in Virginia, and that after Virginia, it wasn't about anything other than stopping the abuse. It was about calling off the dogs. It was about getting people like Tim Beeson to leave me alone, and Maddie Boa and all of her druggy customers. Now first of all, let's address Ted Bollinger. This says Alicia Bollinger right here. This is Alicia Bollinger's account on YouTube that he got in contact with me from. Now, as some of you may know, Alicia Bollinger had my phone number. She called me on the 29th of December. This is the day that I spoke to the police about the situation with Natalie. It wasn't the first time either. I'd spoken to Detective Hyatt and Detective Erica. Now, this is the stuff that happens when a male victim comes forward. This is how we're treated. We're automatically assumed to be guilty, and nobody's going to hear our side. They've already decided. Now, those of you at the Villains Crime channel, let's read this. They're addressing me, obviously. They wrote my name out completely and fully. It says, Sean Schwartz, what the fuck does a 40-year-old man have in common with a teen girl? You might be innocent of murder, but you aren't innocent of being a creepy asshole. See, it starts off with the name calling. Of course, I can't curse, can I? If I curse, it means that I'm unhinged and off the hook and dangerous and violent and out to hurt everybody. Isn't that the way that it's interpreted? So, what's creepy about me? The fact that I spoke up? The fact that you want to discriminate on friendship based on age? Or try to pretend that she was a teen girl? Well, actually, she was a grown woman. She was 18 years old, which is technically a teen, but she's not a girl anymore at that point. She's a woman, and she can be friends with whoever she wants. And what did we have in common? Well, for starters, shitty families with child molesters and drug addicts in them, families that took advantage of us and harmed us. And we had to try to trust these people and rely on them and depend on them. If you guys have read the email that I exposed Ted Bollinger with, you know what her and I had in common. It also says, stop playing the victim. Well, the evidence shows that I am the victim. Yes, Natalie Bollinger is Joseph Michael Lopez's victim. Joseph Michael Lopez did shoot her in the head. Yes, she is Tim Beeson's victim. He did hold her down and scream in her face that she couldn't have her dog back until she took him back. He was also a grown adult having sex with a 14-year-old girl. Yes, she let me know about that. But she was already 18 by that point. Now, the people at the true crime thing that's actually looking at this, they've gotten to see a good portion of what I'm telling you. And I've been posting this stuff up for years. I'm tired of having to put together a collection of this shit for you guys to see, only for it to be ignored. It says, stop playing the victim, get a job, and act like a fucking man. Yep, that's exactly the bullshit that we get treated like when we are victimized. Because, see, at this point, Sure, Natalie has been killed, but through all of this, it was never about Natalie not touching my naughty places. It was about people like Ted Bollinger and Tim Beeson and Natalie's predators, who obviously in the messages between her and I, those are her predators. She told me who her predators are. The reason she told me that is because we were friends. Meanwhile, in Nebraska, they tried to peg me as delusional because I said that we were friends. In her final public post, she wrote in it that we were friends. We weren't friends when she fucking died. When she died, I'd been taking over a year of this crap. Now let's get started on the Ted Bollinger stuff. He types, Sean Schwartz, contact me please, Ted Bollinger. Right? This is at my grandma's funeral the night before. Well, actually, it was the morning of. It says, Sean Schwartz, contact me please, Ted Bollinger. And it's, of course, Alicia Bollinger's account. Since Alicia Bollinger had called me, and I had given her my number so that she could call me, does she tell anybody that? Does she share any of that information? Of course not. They try to hide it. The whole Bollinger family tries to hide their involvement in gaslighting me and playing me, including their extended friends and family. And then this act like a man thing. Act like a man. That's sexism in the extreme. Act like a man. So it says, this is her dad. I have said from cost message. It's Ted Bollinger. I want to talk to you. Where are you? See, that's the difference between stalking and being defensive and defending yourself. Stalkers want to know where you are. They want to know where you are. I never asked Natalie where she was after I left Virginia. Never. Not once. I let her know that I wanted to get a protection order against Tim Beeson. I let her know that I wanted her to call off the dogs, such as Tim Beeson. But I never asked where she was, and I didn't care who she was with. Oh, there you are, Trooper. Good boy. Good boy. How you doing? I heard you kill that rat last night. You didn't do it quick enough, though. I heard a squeak. Also, I felt really, really bad for the thing. Bless you. What are you looking for? Some lovin's? Anyway, so this is Ted Bollinger getting a hold of me on Alicia's account. Alicia has my number. He wants to know where I'm at, and he also starts asking for my phone number. When he started asking me for my phone number, that's when it set off red flags. Laura Nelson in Chapel, Nebraska was there for all of it in person. This stuff all took place while I was in her store. And also, of course, while Graham Milborn was sleeping like a baby. And as a result of that, when he spoke instead of Laura Nelson, he screwed things up. I typed, because it was Alicia Bollinger's account, obviously, not Ted's. I typed Alicia Bollinger in Chapel, Nebraska for my grandma's funeral. You have access to my number since you were on Alicia's account. I literally cannot send you my number anywhere except here, and I am not going to post it public. I was told the funeral was today, or I would have gone to court. That's right, I wanted to go to Joseph Lopez Court. I had to wait till his next court date to show up. It says I was told the funeral was today, or I would have gone to court, but it's at 2 p.m. tomorrow at Hollycheck Funeral Home. So I'm literally telling one of my predators that I'm in Chapel, Nebraska for my grandmother's funeral. one of my stalkers, um, these are being played backwards. I'm sorry about that. It just so happened that the first one on the list is usually the last picture taken. I was replying to him, dude, I am banned for 30 days. Can't see anything from you because I can't connect on Messenger. You are on Alicia's account, which means you are committing a felony, or Alicia is there giving you info. If she is giving you info, she can tell you my number or the names of 2 women who have it. And those 2 women who had it just happened to be 2 of Ted's ex-wives, and that would be Danica Garner and Rochelle Shelley Campbell. Obviously, that's going to set off flags. Between you guys assuming and me having to put 2 and 2 together and be reasonable and not think emotionally while I'm having a mental breakdown over this, let's see what it is that I was replying to when I wrote that. She typed, "This is her father, give me yours." He wanted my number. Now, of course, I'm willing to talk to these people. He typed, "It's Ted Bollinger. I'm on Facebook. You a big guy on that." I typed, "I am sorry. I don't know how. I don't have your number, Alicia Bollinger." I also typed, because this part here is where I'm replying to what she's typing. So it highlights her name. It says, "My Facebook is on ban for 30 days again, but if you send your number in Messenger, I can see it." He kept on typing, "Please contact me." I typed, "I am sorry, I don't have your number. You have mine though. I am sorry, please make my pain stop." That's the thing, is that they could have told the truth and made it stop, but they did not care. Now, of course, this is me talking about the actual situation. It's screwed up. And I want to show you that there's 2 different files open right now. 2 of them. This one, I believe, has 288 pictures. This is Tim Beeson right here. And a bunch of stuff between Tim Beeson and I where he was being an asshole and I was trying to be nice. I was also an asshole through it. I'm not going to pretend I wasn't. But people wanted to pretend that these were delusions, that I had made all of this up. And then, of course, over here, this is a lot of stuff from my grandma's funeral and the stuff that was going on at the time. That's where those... here's one of the lists of it. Let's see if we can open this up. He was, like I said, after I would reply to his harassment, his threats, his attempts at intimidation, he would delete his message, which doesn't just delete his message, it also deletes my reply. He thought he was sly. Well, I was able to screenshot it faster than he was able to destroy it, but also, it was still in my notifications after he destroyed it. We should start at the bottom and read up, but let's see. It says, "Sean Schwartz is Ted Bollinger. I'm on Facebook. You a big guy on that. Sean Schwartz, this is her father. Give me yours. This is her dad. I have said from cost message, it's Ted Bollinger. I want to talk to you. Where are you? Sean Schwartz, look, I'm not a little girl or a kid. Be a man. Come see me. Computer warrior." Seriously, this fucking pedophile. This man who decided not only that it was okay to have his 13-year-old daughters selling heroin to heroin addicts who were homeless. This man was getting drunk and beating them and, well, touching them inappropriately. Now, the messages between Natalie and I show that Tim Beeson was one of her predators. Ted Bollinger was one of her predators. that even though they did horrible things to her, she still loved them. She still wanted her family to love her. She thought that that was a possibility with those people. Just like I had hoped for most of my life that my family would actually love me right. But they didn't. They absolutely didn't. My sister claimed that she was going to help me more than once. She wanted camera equipment so she could keep her and her daughter safe and their stuff because she was afraid of people harming her. And she set up all these cameras. Turned out it was just Tweaker Cam City over there. She wasn't recording anything. There was nothing on her recordings. Like, imagine if instead of showing you these actual screenshots, imagine if I showed you literally nothing. Let's say it was just a picture of someone's backyard with a fucking trailer in it. That's what my sister had. Okay, there's a couple of kitty cats. Wow, I'm fairly certain that kitty cats are not going to vandalize your stuff. That's not to say they won't. I've known some pretty aggressive cats. There was a lot of those. Obviously, I was afraid of the situation. And I tried to overlap them. Um, One of the issues with overlapping that, I mean, I had to screenshot them in a hurry. Eventually, Alicia Bollinger, I suppose it was Alicia Bollinger, got back on her account to type that she was okay and safe and all that. But it says, let's see, after he was doing the computer warrior thing, obviously that's when I met with the police officers in Natalie's case. Or, sorry, the Deputy Jordan Anderson in Chapel, Nebraska, who should have investigated this situation, but he didn't investigate. Not only did he not investigate, he did not even make a report about it. And in Nebraska, the law requires the officer to make a written report for every 911 call. But because Graham Milburn, who didn't know anything about what was going on, decided to, when the officer asked if it's something where I just needed something to talk to, he said yes. And that's for certainly not the case. I had to speak up about these situations repeatedly. They kept on happening. This right here is Candace Dale, or Candace Bondurant, as she called. I was being told that I basically had a couple hours to get everything together and find a place to go. And so Laura Nelson came and picked me up. Like I said, there were lots of people involved who were helping. What they weren't helping with was coming forward to turn it in with me. Laura Nelson knew a ton about the situation. So did Jamie. She knew so much about the situation, but she didn't care. She was too busy trying to hide the fact that she was, well, like I told you guys, just like with Natalie, Jamie did the same thing with James. After that abusive stuff, she went back. Of course, the difference between James and people like Tim Beeson is that Tim Beeson was absolutely giving Natalie Bollinger drugs. I knew them when they were underage, and you can tell the people from that true crime channel that I sent all that evidence to. You know, they get to see that we were friends. That Natalie did tell me about the things that her father did to her. That we did plan the trip. That Maddie Boa was planning the trip with me and couldn't go. Candace typed to me here, I typed, see, this is why I am in constant state of fucking panic. I did nothing wrong. And she typed to me, nobody is saying you did anything wrong. Part of the issue stems from having the cops at my house yesterday. Now, what were the cops there over? That was because Rochelle Shelley Campbell pocket dialed me. It sounded like there was a scuffle. Like she was calling whoever she could call in an emergency, just pressing whatever button she happens to press and hoping for the best. So I tried calling her back. It didn't work, so I called the cops. Anyway, Candace also typed, let's see, part of the issue stems from having the cops at my house yesterday. I can't control that. They were sitting outside first thing this morning and came to my work. I can't have that. They intimidated a lot of people. Candace, later on, her and I had a pretty nasty argument over the fact that I was being harmed when I didn't do anything wrong. I was being harmed because she wasn't willing to come forward about the cops in Haxton, Colorado, harassing her. They should have spoken to me, not Candace. I was the one who called 911. I was the one who was trying to turn it in. Instead of helping with the situation, the police officers created a situation where I was intimidated, Candace was intimidated. I had called Rihanna Ingersoll, who is now dead, to try to get Danica Garner somewhere safe and Rochelle Shelley Campbell and their kids somewhere safe. This lady here in the corner, that's a picture of Christina Lushinger. You've heard me talk about her, also known as Christine Buhey. She's also dead, by the way. She helped me to make an account, or gave me one of her old accounts in order to save evidence and to stay in contact with people, because these predators were literally getting on every post and trying to find some excuse why it's against Facebook rules and so on. This is my reality. My grandma's funeral was a shitty situation. Now, obviously, I spoke up wherever I could. Wherever I could, because the media didn't care. My friends and family did not care. They didn't even stop to hear my side of the story. They were too busy sending me to other places and other phone numbers and giving me advice that doesn't work. Like, you just gotta love yourself or just ignore them. Just wait till we get to showing you guys the video recordings of the assaults. Tell me you can ignore that. Tell me that you could ignore that many assaults by that many people, and those are just the ones that are recorded. Got to the point where I literally had to record 24 hours a day to try to keep myself safe, because I never knew when one of these people was going to come out of the woodwork, and the police kept on changing the rules every time. See, the first time somebody assaults me, I'm generally not recording. But every time I see them after that, I'm going to start recording. And here's why. If I don't record it, the police say that they can't do anything because I didn't record it. If I start the recording as soon as somebody starts crap with me, it takes about a minute to start up the recording. Now, I can't run away in that period of time, because that is where most of the assaults that I endure are from. Is from literally walking away from people who are threatening me to my face. If I stand up to them, they are far less likely to assault me. And if I had my camera out and pointed their direction, then they're afraid of getting recorded assaulting me. However, the police, they say that they can't do anything about it because they don't know how it started. And since they don't know how it started, they can't do anything about it. So then, I have to try to record 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for my safety. During that time, because I may have to post these recordings on YouTube, I can't listen to music, any of the things that help calm me down. Because if I do those things, then it'll prevent me from being able to post the video, because there's copyright crap in there. I've also had police officers that showed up playing Disney songs. Just keep that in mind. So, let's see, where was I at? Sorry about that. There was a very important point to be made, but I lost track of where I was at because there's a lot of different details. Now, of course, with the police trying to pretend that these are all figments of my imagination and delusions, and literally, I've been posting up this evidence for years. This is not the first time that I've posted up any of this in public. And there is so much of it. All right, so we've gotten to hear a little bit about Tim Beeson and a little bit about Officer Waylon Lolatai. I'll put some links in the video for you guys. So they told me that they were going to take me somewhere where I could make a police report. And since the only officer that I could actually trust then was Officer Abel Ramos, they said that they were taking me somewhere where I would be safe to make a police report. And that I'd get to talk to Officer Ramos, which I didn't get to do, obviously. They haven't allowed me access to these videos, by the way, or access to the audio or the body cam videos, I should say. On the A&E special, they've got the part where they slam me down to the ground, where they added sound to it. So the actual videos don't have any sound. So what they had to do was to add sound to it. How did they do that when there's no sound? Well, obviously they edited it to give the wrong impression. Or there's a copy of the video with sound and my attorney didn't send it to me. That was Amanda Balehash. By the way, she is now a judge in the very same county that Natalie Bollinger got her brains blown out in. However, these aren't the ones that we're talking about here. We're talking about this one right here, and we'll actually play this. Jordan Anderson. This is from, and mind you, I was scared shitless when this happened. Let me pause this till. All right, let's hope this works.
And he's had a panic attack.
Nope, we wouldn't have started at the very beginning. So those videos are those things where Ted Bollinger was getting a hold of me. Alicia Bollinger had my phone number. She'd already shown that she had my phone number by calling me on my phone. I still had that very same phone at this point in time. At this point in time, I've had the Bollingers and their friends and extended family and the people that they encouraged to be harmful to me over and over and over again in these Natalie Bollinger groups. Some of them had thousands of people in these groups. Of course, if I say that, you pretend that it's a schizophrenic delusion. But the A&E special shows that. By the end of the first day, there was over 2,000 of them in the Natalie Bollinger group that they were pointing out. While that was going on,
Hello.
this is the day of my grandma's funeral.
Before you go in, there's a few things you need to know.
This is Graham. He's been asleep the whole time. Laura Nelson has been a part of this from the start. All right, Laura Nelson, that's this lady back here. She had been a part of this for a very long time. She'd been a part of the situation with Jamie as well. She knew a lot about the situation with Jamie. She knew a lot about the situation with Natalie. And she also knew a lot about the abuse in town. And while I was having to deal with the situation with Ted Bollinger, where he was showing that there was a safety risk, not giving any indication that his daughter was safe or okay. If he doesn't have her phone number, or doesn't have my phone number, and she's there with him, then why isn't she giving him my phone number? That's a good question. He wanted to know where I was at. I didn't ask Natalie Bollinger where she was at because I didn't care where she was at. What I wanted is for these people to leave my friends and family alone. After she died, it's the same thing. I don't care where the Bollingers are at. What I care about is every time they do something stupid, every time Alicia Bollinger goes on another friggin' drug bender and disappears for a few days, people again get a hold of me and start telling me that they're going to kill my friends and my family.
Man who called you has Asperger's.
Okay, so He's already given the wrong impression. He's saying the right thing. He's explaining that I have a disability, but we're going to see the part where Graham Milbourne fucks up the whole situation, resulting in the officer not taking it seriously. Sorry, deputy, there are no police in Chapel, Nebraska. It's a town of 500 people. There's 2 towns in Dual County, and Chapel's the bigger of the 2.
Tourette's, and he's kind of having a panic attack right now. Okay. And he believes that one of his friends is in danger.
Believes. No, one of my friends was in danger. Every indication was that she was in danger, or that they were gaslighting me. One or the other. The Bollinger family. In this situation, very, 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 very serious situation. But they pretended that this is a delusion, that I made it up.
Okay. And if you could
Here's
just
Laura.
grace and love of God, just, kind of listen to him.
There's his religious bullshit. With the grace and love of God. Oh my God, dude. Like, he kept on interrupting to tell me about God and God and God and God and Jesus and God and praise this and praise. I don't want to hear it, dude. You are wasting so much time with your bullshit. It's bullshit. It's just time wasting. And then he wants to later on use this Jesus as an excuse for not coming forward with the truth, for not telling the truth. Wanted to say, well, I'm not Jesus. I don't care if you're Jesus. He wanted to pretend that this situation did not happen.
So is this kind of one of those things where somebody just needs to listen to him and let him?
Yeah, okay. Just let him talk.
That's the part where he made the mistake, right there. The officer asked if this is just one of those things where I needed someone to talk to. No, that's not the case. I needed him to take it seriously, and you'll see that he doesn't take it seriously. You can see the title of it down there. Jordan Anderson, 2018-0428-0337-9782, incident 90175536. And only half of it's here, by the way. And I am scared for Alicia Bollinger, and you can hear it in my voice. But right here, because of what Graham did, this officer came in and treated me like I was a schizophrenic person who just needed somebody to talk to. Asperger's, not schizophrenia, fucktards.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So, Graham, who didn't know shit, made a pretty big mistake. And in this, he does give me some pieces of paper to fill out, and I did fill them out. Notice he pulls this stuff out and pretends that he's going to do the job, but he just didn't. And of course, this is supposedly a delusion, according to Scott DaCosta. Scott DaCosta, when I tried to turn in this situation, ran around town telling everybody I was schizophrenic.
Is he violent or anything like that?
No, he's loud. Okay. He's not violent.
Okay.
Exactly.
Not at all.
I'm loud when I'm defensive, or when I'm scared.
Just
Okay.
Laura Nelson should have been the one to speak.
Hello. I'm Deputy Anderson. How are we doing today? You're Sean Schwartz? Okay. All right. Explain to me what's going on a little bit there, buddy.
My friend Natalie, she invited me to Virginia because she was suicidal, and then she ran her car into a tree.
Okay.
So I drove to Virginia to see her. This is the video. Things didn't go well there because I don't do well without a support network. And when they separate me from my technology and prevent me from being able to speak, it scares me. And I didn't have a support network there, so I drove away. I went back to Boulder, and people were harassing me and assaulting me, and I couldn't get the police to take a report, and I couldn't get them to stop. So they started saying that I harassed them to Virginia, and then it got way worse. And then people started accusing me of doing all sorts of shit that I didn't do because of the word of mouth thing. I got served a protection order on the 16th of December from Natalie, and then on the 28th she was found murdered. And then the guy who killed her, his name's Joseph Lopez, and they found him, but because now, mind you, at this time, Ted Bollinger had been doing this for 7 hours. Okay, 7 hours. I am scared shitless that he's done something to Alicia because, first of all, he's on her account. So he was able to get on her account somehow. Either he hacked it or he got it from Alicia. But if Alicia wasn't giving up my phone number to the man, that's definitely setting off a red flag. What was going through my mind right there is Alicia has my number, and he's on Alicia's account. She should be there to give him my number. Public opinion, I've been harassed nonstop. I exposed her dad for raping her. She's got a twin sister named Alicia, and I've been in contact with Danica, which is one of her stepmoms, and Shelly, who's another stepmom. I was explaining that I was in contact with two of Natalie's ex-stepmoms, Shelly and Danica. And this is right before the Joseph Michael Lopez court that I did get to go to, where right after court, see, I went to court, and before Joseph Michael Lopez court, I explained in a video that I intended on turning in the Bollinger family, as well as the detectives in Natalie's case, over the things that they had done. And so in court, Ted Bollinger went in there, and first of all, I was told that I couldn't sit where I was sitting. I was one of the first people in the courtroom. They told me I couldn't sit where I was sitting because that was Natalie's family's side. So I had to go sit on Joseph Michael Lopez's side. So I sat down on Joseph Michael Lopez's side. I also noticed that they had cameras in there. They told me I couldn't record it, but apparently, just like with the situation with Whale and Lolatai, the media is allowed to record it. They're allowed access to anything that they want. But me, the victim, was denied all of that access. I was denied access to all of those cameras. I was denied access to all of those body cameras. Over and over again, those officers were allowed to destroy evidence repeatedly because the media did not care what the truth was. They had already decided, and they ran with it. So all of this stuff that you get to see with all sorts of victims where they're able to get the body camera evidence, where they have a friend or family member who's there with them recording it for their safety. I didn't have any of that. And here I am, obviously, even through everything that Alicia Bollinger has put me through, I am afraid for her safety. Meanwhile, she and her dad were just fucking with my head. Of course I tried to turn this in. Ted shouldn't have access to... let me pause this. So Ted Bollinger walked into the courtroom and he started yelling at me. He didn't even care about Lopez. He was yelling at me over and over again. And I just had to sit there and keep my mouth shut and take it. After court, I let the Bollingers leave because I wasn't there to harass the Bollingers. I was there to turn in the abuse. Instead, the police wouldn't allow me to turn in the abuse. They escorted me out of the building. And that's when the supposed autism advocate, Kara Johnson Miles, was getting a hold of me and claiming that Shelly had told her it was a rough day in court and she was wanting to be helpful and sympathetic and so on and so forth. And Shelly was going to get a hold of me later and all this other crap. And that's when Shannon Alvarado exposed Kara Johnson Miles, showing that she was not professional in the least bit she was giving up a lot of information and lying and slandering about my name, and of course lying about a lot of HIPAA stuff. See, this woman was supposed to be an autism advocate. It was supposed to be her job, according to Shelley. Shelley claimed that this woman was an autism advocate and that she helped to stop abuse against autistic people, and it would be okay to send her the evidence. And of course, that woman lied through her teeth. She got busted breaking the HIPAA laws in Natalie Bollinger groups. No, this was not some mental health specialist trying to help. Okay, this was one of these web sleuths. Meanwhile, there was also the situation with Cara Mia, and her real name is Cara Rogers, and that whole situation going on, her letting me know that people were threatening to kill her friends and family and sending pictures of uh, her son with a noose around his neck and things like that. And Candace, well, she pretended, while we were arguing, she pretended apparently that this argument was over nothing. No, it wasn't over nothing. It was over the fact that cops harassed her and intimidated her, and I'm the one who was harmed. They did this repeatedly. And then she didn't show them that part, did she? No, she only posted up the parts where I cursed. Oh God, I cursed, so I'm a horrible person. I got recordings with Candace's mother as well on my YouTube channel. To Alicia's account. He does have access to her account because he's getting a hold of me on it. I took screenshots because he deleted some of the replies that he sent, but I have the screenshots. I'm told to turn it in right away. What happens when I turn it in right away? It's not taken seriously. I got assaulted in Chapel, Nebraska over this. My phone number, so he's on her account trying to reach me. These people have been harassing me for over a year, threatening my life for over a year, prior to Natalie being murdered. So since he's on Alicia's account, Alicia has my phone number. He's asking for my phone number. So I have a stuttering issue. You can tell I'm pausing a lot. I am super, super afraid at this point in time. Everything that Danica Garner and Rochelle Shelley Campbell and Alicia Bollinger and Natalie Bollinger have told me about this man is fucking terrifying. By the way, same thing with Natalie's mother. They're all afraid of Ted. This is the guy who raped both of his daughters. I have an email from Natalie from before she died that proves this. Nobody will take my report. They just keep treating me like I'm a schizophrenic. I'm not schizophrenic, you know? So then all the police that I've talked to since before she died, they've refused to take her report. They take me to the nuthatch and refuse to take me her report. The Boulder police officers, they actually assaulted me over this, and they just dropped those charges, but then they sent me to another place. I literally tried to commit suicide over this. And that's right. They kept on harming me. They kept on taking away my evidence, eating up my time, preventing me from turning it in. It's not that I didn't try. It's that anything that I turned in, they threw away, if they let me turn in anything at all. Meanwhile, no matter what, there's always some excuse. They can't look at the evidence. In here, I actually show him my telephone. He asks about the scrolling thing, but he doesn't actually try scrolling through it to look at what Ted Bollinger is doing. You can see that from his body camera. He doesn't take it seriously. Because Graham Milbourne, when this deputy, Jordan Anderson, asked him if it was just one of those things where he needed somebody to talk to, Graham said yes. And Graham, rather than admitting that, what did he say? I'm not Jesus. And they assaulted me, and then Ted's trying to get a hold of me on the YouTube, and he's on his daughter's account. He shouldn't be on his daughter's account unless she's there, because she has my phone number. The fact that he's trying to reach me. Today was the day that they had the plea arrangement. Now, my grandma died, and they told me that the funeral was today, so I emergency rushed down here to make it for my grandma's funeral. It's not until tomorrow. I was going to be down there for Joseph Lopez's case this morning, but I wasn't able to make it because I had to make a choice between my grandma's and let me show you.
Okay.
By the way, at this point, I was on a 30-day Facebook ban, or Facebook jail, or whatever you want to call it, because I'd already spoken out about the abuse by Ted Bollinger and by Alicia Bollinger. And yes, I said some very angry words, but I did not threaten anybody's life. I did not threaten to harm anybody. And that is for certain. The problem is that when you get a Facebook jail thing and all you have is a phone, you have to have computer access in order to fight it. And I didn't have computer access. I only had my telephone access. When I did have my computer access, I didn't have access to, internet. At Candace's, I didn't have my computer because the computer that I had got taken by the detectives in Natalie Bollinger's case. Just in case Ted Bollinger or Tim Beeson had killed Natalie, they had evidence of it. They had evidence of the things that Natalie was telling people about those folks. They had evidence that Natalie told me about what her father did, and about what Tim Beeson did, and about what her former boss did. You know, I'm actually going to post this video. It's 46 minutes long. You know, I've been posting this evidence up for years, and when you look at the evidence versus what the Natalie Bollinger groups and A&E have to say, you notice they don't match up. A&E doesn't mention all the drugs that were involved in Natalie's life. They don't mention that Natalie Bollinger thanked me, and so did Alicia Bollinger. They both thanked me for running them off when they were kids. You want to pretend that I was hanging out with two little girls, or some of these websites even claim that I stalked Natalie to Virginia when she was 13. Hell no, she wasn't allowed to talk to me until she was an adult. She was told to go away, to leave me alone. Repeatedly, when she walked up to the group with Janine Barrett and her son, Derek Parrish. Well, I was there to hang out with Janine. Hanging out with her son is par for the course. He's going to be there. But I wasn't there to hang out with Derek. I was there to hang out with Janine. And Derek was friends with Maddie Boa. And Maddie Boa was friends with Natalie and Alicia. Now, one of the other things is, one night when they were about 14, I suppose, they were hanging out with a bunch of heroin addicts. And one night, they were underneath the Boulder Public Library with a guy named Emery and a guy named Arturo. And these guys were definitely adults. One of them was in a sleeping bag with Alicia. One of them was in a sleeping bag with Natalie. I didn't know who either of them were, but I did yell at them. I told them that was not appropriate. I told them that they needed to get up and go home. And then I laid in to Emery and Arturo. Those are little girls. Those are children. You do not get into a sleeping bag with children. That is not okay. And that was the last time I saw Natalie or Alicia for about 3 or 4 years. One day, Natalie and Alicia were walking with two older gentlemen, and they saw me, and one of them ran up and gave me a hug. And like I said, I still didn't know their names. One of them ran up and gave me a hug, and they both wrote down their Facebook stuff so that I could send them a message on Facebook. I sent them each one message. I didn't know how old they were. I assumed that they were adults at this point, and I sent each of them just one message. And then I literally forgot that they existed. The only time that I remembered that they existed was very specifically when Maddie Boa showed up, because Maddie Boa kept on showing up. Natalie and I did not become friends until she was 18. She was a grown adult. And we were friends over shared trauma. We had a lot in common. Whether you grew up in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, shitty parents are shitty parents. Drug addicts are still drug addicts. Abuse is still abuse. Rape is still rape. Assault is still assault. Punching somebody in the nose is still punching somebody in the nose. Calling it something different isn't going to change the fact that it actually happened, and it is a fact. So we're going to stop this, and I'm going to actually post the link to this video so you guys can watch it in its entirety. He gives me the papers. I did fill out the papers. It's also only half of the situation because he came back. Now, Laura Nelson is there for the whole thing. She was there for a lot of stuff with Jamie Curtis. A lot of stuff with the Natalie Bollinger situation. She even took me to several appointments, her and her husband, after Natalie was killed. But did she ever come forward about that? Now, she did say that she tried to tell Sheriff Scott DaCosta about the abuse, but he was asking pointed questions. He was trying to insinuate that I was in love with Natalie, and Laura Nelson knew better. And she told him that. No, Sean wasn't in love with her. She was a friend of his, and she needed help. Laura Nelson and her husband sold me that car that I drove to Virginia in, the one that broke down. The problem with it was that the steering column came loose, and that's something that had already been ongoing. David and Laura Nelson were already well aware of the fact that it was having that issue. They'd tried to fix it with Loctite. So when my car broke down in Virginia, it wasn't a choice. It was just an ongoing issue with the vehicle. They never came forward with that. They never came forward about this situation. Graham Milborn gave the wrong idea from the start. Also, you might notice in this picture, and I'm sorry that it's such low quality. Let's see if we can make it higher quality. We can. We absolutely can. You see those arrows right there? There's another guy in my story. Well, two people in my story. Clint Snell and Leslie Snell, and Clint's brother, Carl Snell. You know where I got those arrows? I got those arrows right after high school from a guy named Clint Snell, who was later implicated by his brother Carl Snell and Carl Snell's friend Chris Kurth in death threats against me. His wife, that would be Carl Snell, his wife Leslie Snell, later started working for the Dual County Sheriff's Department, who were trying to hide the fact that they literally did not investigate any of the crimes against me. They just pretended. This is called appeasing. They're putting on a show of pretending like they're gonna, but really he doesn't take it seriously. So you guys can adjust the quality. You can check this out. This video is almost an hour long, but obviously the things that I said happened absolutely did. We'll also get into the Tim Beeson texts, because there is a lot of them. This is Tim Beeson. There's 288 of them. It destroyed the ones where there was a double, apparently, at some point, which I guess works for me. But these are taken off of a website where Tim Beeson had submitted his messages between Natalie Bollinger at the time. But also, when you compare those to the messages between Natalie and I at that same exact time, because she was messaging me, she was getting a hold of me, and she did call me. The things that she was doing and saying do not match up with what she was doing and saying in these messages with him. It's just like with Jamie Curtis. The recordings that I have and the messages between her and I all show that I'm the one that told the truth. Jamie was pissed off because she got busted cheating. She was cheating on James with a guy named Todd Harmon, and she got busted, plain and simple. If she hadn't hid the fact that she was dating James again, well, I'd have known not to say that I liked her new boyfriend more than I liked James. Meanwhile, James's nephew, his name is Seth. Seth was watching my YouTube channel and called James, and I have the recordings with James to prove this, by the way. Seth called James to tell him that I had said I like Jamie's new boyfriend more than I like James. And, well, that was all she wrote. Same thing happened with Natalie when she wanted to go back to her predators and get back into those drugs. Instead of her predators being punished, I was punished because she went back to them. She went back to the people that beat her. She went back to the people that raped her because they had the drugs. And there's nothing that I could do about that.